Hey there, I'm Sammy and welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, I am working on a large set of furniture. This is a flip you don't want to miss, so stay tuned to see exactly how I transform this set into something completely different.
This is the beautiful set we are starting off with. It was in really great condition, had some really great bones, and was overall in great shape to refinish. This is a harvest oak set, and when I got this home, I realized it came with a bunch of goodies inside, including some plugs for existing ones on the pieces, and a few original pamphlets of what you could look through when you wanted to purchase these pieces of furniture, which I thought was so cool and will be going with the new buyer of these pieces. Setting these aside for later, and I'm going to start by removing all of the hardware and all of the drawers so we can get these things cleaned up. I decided I was not keeping the original hardware on this piece, so once I removed them, I was tossing those. Very hot right now, but I'm getting all the drawers removed, and here is just something to note. I have got 4 dressers with a lot of drawers, a lot of different sizes, and they are currently all in the right places. So as I take them out, I'm laying them like this, keeping them in this order until I can go back and label each drawer, and then I can kind of mix them up if I need to, but I'm making sure to keep them in this order so that when it comes time to put it back together, it's just super easy. I know where each drawer goes and super smooth. I had yet to thoroughly inspect these dressers until now, until I'm doing them, and I knew they were in good shape, but they are in immaculate shape. I cannot remember the last time I've worked on a dresser or dresser set that has been in this good of condition. There are 24 drawers, and every single drawer glide is in tip-top condition. There's no major repairs. Really all it needs is a good scuff sand, because I'm going to be painting all of these pieces, and I'm going to change a few things, so we're going to get into that right now. It just blows my mind, all 24 were in shape. This is just such a good set. I'm so excited. Bugs. I want to square up this edge right here and get rid of this curve right here. I think it's just dating the piece a little bit, and I want it to be more of a modern vibe. So I'm using a straight edge here, and I'm just going to continue along this front edge, and I am using a Sharpie because it doesn't matter in my case because I'm going to be painting everything. And then I'm going to come straight up from here. Once I had all of the bases marked out, I then used my jigsaw to cut these marks out and make the bases nice and square.
These dressers had some plugs that were on the front and the tops, and I wasn't a big fan of them, so I grabbed my scraper or putty knife and I pried those out. They came out super easily, and then I will fill them later. And then it was time for cleaning, so I got out my simple green and a wet cloth, and you can see how dusty they are here, but I got to cleaning every square inch of these pieces. Okay, before sanding, we are going to make any major fills that need to be done, and I'm going to be using a wood filler Bondo. A lot of times I use the all-purpose Bondo, and you can use either one. Today I just have the wood filler on hand. So for all those plugs that I removed earlier on the fronts of the dresser, and there's some on top of the dresser, I'm going to be filling those with the Bondo, as well as the grooves that are on top of the dressers. I don't want the grooves to be there. I feel like it's just dating the piece a little bit. So I'm going to take those away and create a completely smooth, flat top surface. It does not take Bondo very long to dry, only about 15 minutes or so. So as soon as it was done drying, I jumped right into sanding, removing any of the excess Bondo and giving the surface a really good scuff sand. Here I'm using a 120 grit sandpaper, and this will make sure that we have a coarse enough surface that we need for our primer to adhere properly, since I'm going to be painting these pieces. For most of the sanding, I did use my random orbital sander, but for some areas that were just harder to get to or had a really straight and small edge, I did grab my square festool sander, and it got in there no problem and made the sanding process really simple. I honestly cannot believe I'm saying this, but I had no hand sanding to do on any of these pieces, so it was so nice to be able to just grab my festool sander for any harder areas that I couldn't get to with my orbital sander. Then, as always, I grabbed my air compressor hose, and you can see just how dusty these things were, so this thing comes in handy every single time I use it. You never realize how much dust is on your pieces of furniture, and it really helps when you come to wipe them off. It makes that process so much easier. So I'm just spraying everything off really quickly, and then I will be going in with a damp cloth later on to collect the rest of the dust that's left on the surface. It is a new day. I spent all of yesterday sanding the dresser bases, which took me so much longer than I expected. So now I am working on the drawers. We're going to take a little bit of a break from the dresser bases. There's a few areas that may need a second touch up, but we're going to wait to do that later after we prime. So let's focus on the drawers for now. There are some that I'm going to be filling the hardware holes and creating new ones. And then half the drawers I am going to leave the existing holes. But first we need to wipe everything down because we have yet to clean these drawers off. We'll fill some holes and then we'll sand them all down. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and fill all the hardware holes that I do not want to keep. And that's going to include all of the top drawers for each set. And then the small dresser, I'm actually going to do all of the drawers on that one because I just want one knob on either end instead of a drawer pull. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some Bondo. When I mix Bondo, I always like to mix it on something that I can throw away. And that's usually a piece of a cardboard and then a plastic scraper to mix it up and spread it around. And then later on when the Bondo dries on this, you can either peel it off or I sometimes will use a razor blade to scrape it off. And you have a nice clean flat spatula again. And then I took out, when I am filling hardware holes, I like to grab a piece of tape. I'm gonna do this quickly because I already mixed up my Bondo. And place this on the underneath of the drawer so that when you go to push the Bondo through that hardware hole, it has something to rest against on the back side and you'll have something smooth on the inside of the drawer rather than a little bubble or it not making it all the way through. So now we'll go ahead and fill these. I needed to make myself a coffee to bring back some energy to finish this sanding. I don't care what anyone says. If they tell you that they like sanding or don't mind it, they're lying. This is always the longest process in furniture is prep work, but it's super important and there's just so many drawers, so many pieces in this set. There's a lot to sand, so I'm over sanding. That's okay, we're almost done. I just need to finish all of the edges around the drawers and then we can clean everything up and prime. Let's finish this. Once all of my sanding was done, I gave everything a really quick vacuum and then I started putting all of the drawers back together again. Gotten everything sanded and drawers put back in, holes filled. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's taken so much longer than I thought, but we made it. So now we are on the final steps of prep work, so we can get a coat of primer on these. We need to wipe everything down, make sure we get all the remaining dust off of these pieces, and then we are going to tape off of the drawers because I want to spray everything all at once. The way these drawers sit inside is perfect for spraying them while the drawers are inside. Alright, everything has been wiped down. There's one more thing I need to do before I get a coat of primer on these pieces, and that is tape off all the drawers. Like I mentioned, I want to spray everything all at once, meaning the drawers set in while I'm spraying. You can do this with some, and some it just doesn't quite work, but because these drawers set inside the dresser when they're closed, it works really well to spray everything together. But when I'm spraying, I want to be able to pull the drawer out a little bit so I can get this top and side edges and make sure those look nice and clean and get painted as well. So I'm going to tape this edge so that I can leave them open a little bit and I won't get paint inside the drawer and there won't be a messy line. So when it comes time to peel that tape off, I'll have a nice and clean line. So I'm going to go and tape every single one of these drawers really quickly. I'm going to be using the Zinsser 123 primer. This is just a great overall all-purpose primer that's going to adhere well to all surfaces and surfaces that haven't been sanded. So I just want to use this for a little bit extra protection to guarantee that my primer is going to adhere to every place on these dressers so that we have a nice smooth and durable coat of paint after that. And I'm going to be applying it with my Wagner sprayer. As I always do, this is just my go-to. It applies paint super smoothly, super quickly, and it's just a great overall product to use. For a long time, I've used the disposable strainers because you always want to strain your paint when you're using a sprayer. But I just got tired of using them, throwing them out, buying more. Like, it was just getting repetitive, old, and I felt wasteful. So a tip I learned, these are actually like strainers that you can leave in your sink so that like if you don't have a disposal that everything will get trapped in this, like the food and waste, and you dump this out. I just purchased 2 of these. I stacked them together because I was worried it wasn't thin enough to strain through the paint. So I stacked 2 together so it's like very tiny mesh. The paint runs through this and it does just as well as the disposable cups. And then I rinse these off after each use and I never have to buy one again. So these run like a couple bucks. You can get them at the grocery store in like the dishware section or plastic wrap section. But
These have been a lifesaver when it comes to straining my paint. One important thing that I forgot to mention is there's two different kinds of this. They have a oil-based and a water-based. This is the water-based. If you're going to be running it through your paint sprayer, it's much easier to use a water-based. You technically can use the other kinds. It's just a pain in the butt to clean out. It's really sticky. It sticks on to all these surfaces. You have to get a special cleaner for it. It's doable, but water-based is definitely the way to go if you're going to be putting it through your sprayer. It is the next day. I have primed everything. It's looking decent. I did have a little bit of bleed through, but I'm not too worried about that. This is going to be painted dark, and it is definitely sealed in now. We're gonna go and fix any repairs that need to be fixed. A lot of times I like to prime, and that's gonna show any little tiny imperfections that you can't necessarily see without it being painted. So we can go ahead, go through over all the surfaces, and I've just got a plastic wood is what it's called. It's a wood filler. I have a little putty knife. I'm also going to use my finger just to work it in some areas. So I'm going to go and find any areas that need to be filled, fill these really quickly, and then we're going to sand everything down once more before we go ahead and apply our paint. Okay, I got it all filled. I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible because it is just getting later and later and warmer outside, and I want to get these sprayed before it gets too hot. So I'm going in with a 220 grit over the entire surface, not just the areas I filled, but we want to go over everything so that we can smooth over any tiny bumps and prep the surface for our first coat of paint. Super exciting stuff, you guys. We are finally about to paint, but I'm gonna do something that I've never done before, so let's hope it works. We're using two paints. We're gonna mix them. Come a little closer, just much better. Okay. We're gonna mix this one really, really well. Workout. This one is called Dark Secret, and this one is called Midnight in New York. And we're gonna mix.
This is why you strain your paint when you are putting it through a sprayer, because this is a huge paint clump and we don't want that in our sprayer. Oh, but that's just like so much better. Ooh, it's so good. If nobody wants this, I will keep it. Gladly. Gladly. It's too good. It's too freaking good. I'm so happy with my paint decision. I'm so happy. I love this even better than like a deep blue, which is what I was thinking originally. It's so good. I'm not gonna show you guys yet because you gotta wait till the reveal. I'm sure you saw some while I was painting, but like that does not do it justice. We still have some work ahead of us, but this is keeping me going. I did go in really quickly with a second coat of that paint. Before going in with my top coat, I used a polyurethane top coat in a satin finish, and I gave it one thorough coat of that to kind of seal everything off and give it a really protective top coat. And now it was time to drill new hardware holes in the ones that we filled earlier. So I went ahead and measured those out, and I actually didn't have the footage of that, but I used my template that I always use, and that will be linked in the description if you're interested in it. And then I just went in with my drill and drilled those holes, and I had all new hardware holes. Alright, now for hardware, these are the ones I'm going to be using. I just think they are so beautiful and will complement this paint color so well. Quick hack. Well, now let's tell them a quick hack. What's the hack? You don't want to tell them. You can't open any of your drawers because they don't have hardware on them and they're just the holes. You can either grab the screws that go into the hardware, or like an Allen key will work too. Stick it in the holes and then ta-da, they come out.
all the hardware was in and it was finally time to get this piece staged and see everything come together. As always, before the big reveal, I want to give you a reminder of where we started so that you can really appreciate where we're ending.
Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun transforming this set into something completely new. I did consider keeping this set at first, but I had it listed on Facebook Marketplace for only 1 day and I had it sold to a very happy buyer. For a list of the products I used to flip this set, they will be linked in the description below, as well as a profit breakdown. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up so that I know that you liked it, and leave me some comments letting me know how you think this piece turned out. But as for now, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!